Maybe you guys saw this is going on. It's not just little boats that they claim have drugs on them. This is the real meat and potatoes of why these guys are trying to patrol our hemisphere, as Pete Hegseth keeps saying. That was not leaked video. That was not some whistleblower blowing the lid off of the latest things that this administration is doing. That was released by our government themselves. That unclassified, as you saw at the top there, video details of them landing on an oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela and seizing it, taking it over, armed, flying in from helicopters and things like that. So they're proud of this. Similarly, how they were proud of all of their boat attacks. Then again, until someone started asking, that's illegal, right? What are you guys doing? You don't have to listen to me. Listen to the guy who's bragging about it.
It's been an interesting day from the standpoint of news. As you probably know, we've just seized a tanker on the coast of Venezuela, a large tanker, very large. Largest one ever seized, actually. And other things are happening, so you'll be seeing that later, and you'll be talking about that later with some other people.
So they'll announce things like that so that we can have this whole thing in our brain where we're supposed to think that's fine, that's normal. Look, they're admitting to it. He also admitted to being a rabid racist the other day. It doesn't mean that it's okay. I mean, he didn't have to admit to it. He shows us that every day. But there's a little point of irony here. Donald Trump's been going on these racist tirades, specifically targeting Somalis here in this country, specifically up in Minnesota area. In talking about these boat strikes, I think it kind of all adds up to who he's been talking trash about as who it is that he actually is.
We always take people from Somalia, places that are a disaster, right? Filthy, dirty, disgusting, ridden with crime. The only thing they're good at is going after ships.
Say what now? The only thing that those dirty, filthy, disgusting, criminal Somalians are good at is going after ships. As he brags about going after ships, as he brags about patrolling in and having armed military men flying in and taking over a ship. It's almost like all the things that he says about other countries, including the whole thing about whole countries, is what it is that he represents. He's a pirate. He needs to put a patch over his eye or something and start saying "arg" all the time, because this asshole likes to commit crimes. It's weird. A 34-time felon sits in the White House, and ever since he got there, he's been committing crimes and has been acting like those crimes aren't crimes. When you put a criminal in a position of power, he starts ignoring the rule of law, the Constitution, and all other military norms. I'll remind you one more time the reason why. He's a criminal. So here he is then talking about what we'll do with that oil.
Interested in the seizure of this tanker. What happens to the oil on this ship?
Well, we keep it, I guess.
Where does it go? What port does it go to?
Well, you have to follow the tanker. You're a good newsman. Just follow the tanker.
Do you know where it's going?
Follow it. Get a helicopter and follow the tanker.
Is it true it's going to?
But I assume we're going to keep
the commander-in-chief has no idea what they're going to do with the oil that they just stole. I guess we'll keep it. What kind of foreign policy process is that? I suppose, hey, journalist who's sitting in the room who just was told about this whole thing, how about you find out where we're going with this? And then, by the way, the ways you could find out from a journalist's perspective what they're doing with the oil that he guesses we'll just keep, even though he's been preaching about stealing oil from them for years. The way that reporter would find out would be maybe being in the, Pentagon press briefing and maybe asking the Pentagon officials what it is that they're doing with this, the next steps after this piracy that we've pulled off. But he wants them to go follow it. You're a good newsman. Go follow the helicopters. So if they go follow the helicopters and determine where it is that this oil tanker is being taken to and what we're going to do with it and what the next steps may be, you know what this toll will start saying. You guys have no right to question me on this. You have no right to talk about what is it I'm doing. What are you, following oil tankers? That's an illegal act. You know, that's aggressive in the United States military. He'll say all kinds of things that he doesn't want people actually going to find out when he doesn't have the answer in the first place, as they've also walled off actual reporters and journalists from Pentagon briefings, or from even talking to anyone in the Pentagon or surrounding it about what it is that they're doing. They'd rather dispatch, other folks who like to say that these things are legal and normal and justified.
I'm seizing a tanker. How could this escalate the conflict with Venezuela?
Well, we've had sanctions on Venezuelan oil since the first Trump administration. And
Biden kept them.
Kept them.
Yeah.
So to me, this is absolutely normal. I mean,
seizing an oil tanker?
Yeah. We've been seizing Iranian oil tankers in the past. We also, according to the law that I've read, that oil is up for forfeiture. So we could keep that. We've kept Iranian oil in the past. So I actually think that this is less controversial in terms of law and sanctions and what has been, disputed or not disputed. Like, I think this is actually a pretty, check the box case. Mm-hmm. Now, what will this mean in terms of escalation? What is he going to do? What is Maduro going to do? Is he going to step aside because we're sanctioning this oil? I mean, we pick up this oil tanker. It's one oil tanker. Probably not.
You see how when you dispatch certain people to go talk about these types of actions and have them give this very flippant energy and attitude, what are they going to do? It sounds like a gangster. What you gonna do about it? Except we have a different accent, we have a different face, and a person in front of the cameras making this seem all very nice, smooth, and normal. We've taken other oil tankers before too. In what scenarios, in what circumstances? There's all kinds of different conflicts, sanctions that are put in place that are agreed upon by multiple nations, potentially UN, all this types of stuff, right? But instead, we'll just listen to one woman say, "We do it all the time." Well, you know what? There's a lot of things that we do all the time that isn't right, but it doesn't mean we should continue to do them. So I tried to look into a little bit, and we'll see to what degree that this is all, to my research on it, makes a lot of sense. So I looked up this document. I wanted to see what it is that makes this, in their opinion, seem so normal. United Nations Human Rights Council, the United Nations, which I thought we were a part of. They talked about, in this one aspect of it, these unilateral coercive measures. It says that they're illegal under international law and shall be lifted. Look at the date. The 4th of December of this year. It's pretty recent. Maybe that's what it was. They're used to all the norms, and as of the 4th of December, there's this UN agreement that is no longer allowing for these things to happen. Here's details of that in these pages that followed that. It says, we underline that unilateral coercive measures are illegal under international law. They violate core principles set forth in the UN chapter, such as the principle of sovereign equity, non-intervention into domestic affairs, principle of the respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. They impede economic growth and full achievement of sustainable development goals, disproportionately affecting least developed and developing countries. Such measures undermine basic human rights, such as the right to life, the right of a right to dignity, the right of everyone to the enjoyment of the highest attainable standard of physical and mental health and medical care, the right to freedom from hunger, and the right to an adequate standard of living, food, education, work, and housing, as well as the right to development and to the right to a clean health and sustainable environment, etc., it says. So as you can see, it's focused mainly on like maybe larger powers, bigger countries that like to go and do whatever the hell they want, and then strip other smaller nations, as they point out, their least developed and developing countries, from all of these normal human rights. They're human rights violations because, as similarly, when we were still are, bombing random boats in the Caribbean and claiming that they're all drug boats, you could be affecting other folks. You've killed people that are doing normal, innocent things. Maybe that's part of their livelihood. So they'll violate human rights. They'll kill people. And then after they're doing all this violating of human rights, killing people, putting up videos of it, as some kind of like violence and bloodthirst porn for all of their followers, afterwards, what this gangster will do is he'll then go talk about how he's going to do it to somebody else.
We have 3 countries sending drugs to the U.S., Mexico, Venezuela, and Colombia. And you talked to the president of Mexico, you already talked to Nicolas Maduro. Have you considered talking to the president of Colombia, who you call a drug leader?
No, I haven't really thought too much about him. He's been fairly hostile to the United States, and I haven't given him a lot of thought. He's going to have himself some big problems if he doesn't wise up. Colombia is producing a lot of drugs. They have cocaine factories that they make cocaine, as you know, and they sell it right into the United States. So he better wise up, or he'll be next. He'll be next too. And I hope he's listening. He's going to be next. Yes,
Mr. President.
because we don't like people when they kill people, and they sell drugs. They kill them in the United States, and Colombia is a major manufacturer of drugs, meaning cocaine in particular, as you know.
The threats are going to the next country. So now it's Colombia, and it's President Gustavo Petro that he's threatening there. To take off this whole very thin layer of him being a president. And if this gangster's sitting around a table and telling someone else he's going to be next, he's going to have himself a lot of problems on his hands. I want him listening now. He's going to be next. That's next on my war crimes list, is going after this guy. Well, you're just starting this whole conflict, the slow burn for this Venezuelan conflict. So I guess, go on and start barking about Colombia next, based off of, get this, based off of they produce a lot of drugs. A lot of drugs are produced and they're sent up here. He wants you to forget that he just pardoned the former president of, where was he from? Damn, I'm blanking, but the former president that he just pardoned, based off of this drug production, based off of how he wants to pump drugs into America, wants to stuff a bunch of cocaine up of these gringos' noses. And he pardoned him, and his excuse was that somebody came and told me that he was treated unfairly, like I was treated unfairly. Also, that just because he's a president of a country doesn't mean he participated in the drug trade. Isn't it weird that all that can apply to the guy that he pardoned, but it doesn't apply to the guy that he's now threatening and saying that, up next is him? Because he's a tough guy who hides behind a desk and forces other folks to go and fight his wars as he's begging for Nobel Peace Prizes.